My younger brother is the yandere male supporting character. After being abandoned by the female lead, he became extremely obsessive and wanted to commit suicide. I sat there, legs crossed, saying, "Wait a bit before you die. Go peel a grapefruit for your elder sister first." He cursed and threw the knife away, then started peeling the grapefruit. When the male and female leads got married, he went on a wild car ride, intent on dying together with them. I rolled over in bed and said, "If you don't come back soon, your elder sister is going to starve to death." He slammed on the brakes and rushed back, the frying pan waving so fast it was like smoke was coming off it. After failing to die several times, he gave up. Later, when I was in a relationship, my brother peeled the shrimp for me before my boyfriend could. He sneered and said scornfully, You think you're worthy of serving my sister? I'm her most loyal servant." When my little brother was 5 years old, I suddenly found out that when he grew up, he would turn into a deranged male side character. Heartbroken over unrequited love, he would completely go dark. He'd forcibly imprison the female lead, relentlessly chase down the male lead, and after failing, he'd fall into despair and end it all. A deranged male side character? Him? I glanced at the little bundle of cuteness curled up on the floor, obediently massaging my feet, and couldn't help but think, how could this adorable little kid possibly turn into that? I kept staring at him, trying to find any trace of that twisted side, but after thinking it over, I still couldn't see any signs of the so-called deranged male side character. I poked my chin, letting out a tssk sound repeatedly. My brother noticed, immediately stopped what he was doing, and, with his tiny face looking up, blinked his big eyes, his little voice trembling. "Princess, did I hurt you?" Looking at his puppy dog eyes, I couldn't help but get caught up in the moment. I slapped the couch dramatically. Big guts. He had no idea what went wrong but immediately decided to play along. "Princess, woo-woo, please forgive me." Like some kind of reflex, he grabbed my thigh, going along with my theatrics. Deranged male side character? I'm his sister. Our mom died young, and our rich dad is never home. I've raised him from diapers, so he's basically my baby. Wearing my golden yellow dragon robe and plastic crown, I stood up, striking a pose. "Toby, tell me, what's the purpose of being a little brother?" He snapped to attention and shouted proudly. "To serve my beautiful sister wholeheartedly." "What's the goal of being a little brother?" "To make my beautiful sister happy every day." "What's our motto?" "One day as a slave, forever as a servant. My sister is beautiful, beautiful, the most beautiful." It was clear that he had my every word etched in his DNA. I patted his head, satisfied. "Good job, Toby," and casually tossed the half-drunk cup of fruit tea at him. He leaped up with excitement, his eyes sparkling. "This is high-end stuff, sis. Can I really drink this?" I awkwardly scratched my nose. "Yeah, I may have some money in the family. We don't have a ton, but we've got lots of love." But to show the difference in status, the order of things, and my position as the eldest daughter in the family, I usually gave him cheap stuff. "Get back." I threw him a pack of spicy strips. "Here." He grinned ear to ear, bowed, and did a little curtsy. Then he skipped away, beaming. And just like that, under my threats and bribes, my mix of strictness and softness, my Confucian outside, legalist inside policy of gentle coercion, my little brother was completely tamed, my most loyal little lapdog. If I told him to go east, he'd never dare go west. If I told him to feed the dog, he'd never think of feeding the chickens. I was smug. This account was officially leveled up. Female lead? Plotline? All under my control. But then, once he hit middle school and met the female lead, it was like he became a completely different person. Every day he'd run around preparing her breakfast, carrying her stuff, giving her flowers, tutoring her, confessing his feelings. And the female lead? She couldn't care less. Then the male lead transferred in. He literally just stood there, breathing, and the female lead instantly fell in love. From then on, they were glued together, inseparable, acting like they were already married. My brother went full emo. Dressed in black every day, messy bangs covering his eyes, brooding gaze, sulking nonstop. Didn't bother with an umbrella when it rained, wouldn't eat when he was hungry, talked like life had no meaning, basically walking around like the world was ending. He was no longer the sunny, cheerful little boy I knew. His yandere side was starting to show. He became the melancholy brother. His broken soul vibes cranked all the way up. Username, Toby doesn't understand love. Bio, getting close to you is pain. Staying away from you is losing happiness. The kid's quiet? Must be up to something. This day, my brother came home, not a word out of him, looking all broody and sneaky, holding a blade, locking himself in his room, ready to go full flower knife. Self-harm? So what? Don't underestimate the bond between siblings. I stood outside his door and yelled at the top of my lungs. "Toby, I want ice cream from the corner store downstairs, go get it for me now." No reply. Uh-oh. He won't listen? Time for the big guns. "You cold-hearted little hottie, are you really gonna let your beautiful sister starve to death? Did you forget your purpose as a brother?" Before I even finished, I heard a muffled voice from inside. "Can you stop talking? I'll go, okay?" His tone was so impatient. The door opened. My brother, looking all frustrated, ruffled his hair and sighed. He passed by me, probably trying to hide the blade from my sight, throwing it in the trash on the sly. Then he grabbed a jacket from the couch and headed out to get me my ice cream. Before leaving, he turned around, raised a finger, and shot me a cold warning. "Remember, don't make this a habit." I didn't care one bit about his warning. Pushing my luck, I stuck out my neck. When you get back, grab the package for me. I sent you the pickup code. You mean the one that's 3 streets away, 2 kilometers from here? My brother suddenly froze, frowning and looking at me. I didn't even bother to look up from my phone, just nonchalantly said, "Yep." "You couldn't have called for a delivery guy or something?" he asked, voice dripping with annoyance. I innocently poked my chin, but the delivery costs money. Fine. He ground his teeth and spat out the word. All that emo energy vanished, replaced by pure, unfiltered anger. He took a deep breath, trying to calm down. Then, after checking his phone, his eyes went black. I had sent him like 10 pickup codes earlier. He gritted his teeth, his temper flaring. He turned around, sat down on the couch next to me with a heavy sigh, slumped, and flat out refused to do anything. I wasn't about to back down. Sitting up straight, I started issuing orders, trying to trigger the servitude programmed into his DNA. "Toby, our motto is." This time, my brother didn't respond. He swallowed hard, then pointed at my nose and shouted, "Jenny, do you know that new era doesn't have slaves? No more chance. No more sisterly address." He's yelling at me. I'm so sad. Looks like we're entering the rebellion phase. No worries though, I've got plenty of tricks up my sleeve. Step 1, reverse psychology, interrupt the spellcasting. I angrily tossed my phone aside. Then, I gave him a pitiful look and quietly said, "Could you not talk so loud?" My brother's guilt was as obvious as day. Step 2, raise his confidence, make him feel important. I puffed out my cheeks, and with a slight redness in my eyes, I forced out 2 little tears. "You know, I'm just pretty and rich, but I'm also dumb, lazy, and not as smart or strong as you. I only ask you to do things because I need you. Otherwise, why would I ask anyone else?" My brother's mood instantly lifted, and a little smirk tugged at his lips, barely contained. Step 3, play the emotional card, make him feel guilty. I grabbed his arm, buried my head in his shoulder, and pretended to sniffle. "Mom left us too soon, Dad's never home. I'm all alone now, and you're my only precious little brother." Sob, sob. "I can't live without you. You're irreplaceable in my heart." With that silky smooth combo, my brother froze. That little expression on his face seemed to say, "I really suck at this, don't I?" After snapping back to reality, he panicked, unsure how to comfort me, and kept dabbing at my tears with his sleeve. "Sis, I'm sorry." His voice was raspy. I continued to act all self-pitying, deliberately turning my face away from him, but I was fighting a laugh. "Damn, I'm good." That was it. My brother was officially in panic mode. He scrambled to make up for it. Okay, I'll pick up all your packages from now on. Just, please don't be sad, alright?" Mission accomplished. I wiped away my tears in a second, and swiftly followed up with a little love education. I placed a hand on his shoulder, looking at him with a fiery gaze. "No matter what, promise me you won't hurt yourself, okay? If you get hurt, I'll be heartbroken." My brother looked completely shocked that I knew about his self-harm thoughts. He thought he'd hidden it well. I'm the one who raised him. When his butt wiggles, I know exactly what's going on. I understand him like a farmer understands manure. My brother stood there, staring at me, as if he finally understood my kind intentions. He lowered his head in embarrassment, looking so obedient it was almost too much to handle. He gave a small nod, I got it. Then he dutifully grabbed the big sack and went to pick up my packages. Thanks to me. He came back with one hand holding an ice cream cone, the other shoulder struggling under the weight of an entire bag of packages. By the time he got home, he was drenched in sweat and immediately collapsed into bed to sleep. My brother Toby's rebellious teenage phase lasted a whole 1 hour. I, Jenny, am a woman of steel. How could I just sit back and let the plot unfold, watching my only obedient little brother fall into the villainous role of the secondary antagonist and head toward a tragic end? So, I decided to crush the budding romance between the female lead and my brother in its cradle. Since the female lead came from a poor family and I had a bit of money, I went straight to her parents. With a dramatic flourish, I dropped the classic line, "Here's $1 million. Get your daughter to leave my brother." Her parents, being quite practical, didn't waste any time. The next day, the female lead transferred to another city. As soon as she left, the male lead followed right after. When my brother found out that the female lead transferred schools, he initially wanted to follow her. I coaxed, cajoled, and threw in some tears and tantrums. He gave in. That day, I was in a great mood. I took him to a bar and made sure we had 2 big rounds of milk. There was no alcohol in the milk, but my brother was drunk as a skunk. That night, he had a good long cry and said goodbye to his one-sided, unrequited love. From then on, every day after school, he'd be busy washing my clothes, cooking for me, making tea, and running errands. Whenever he had a moment of free time, I'd sit him down and lecture him on the correct view of love and core socialist values. There was no way he could fall into villainy. Slowly but surely, he became the sunny, optimistic boy I knew. Until the first day of college. I was so excited to send him off to school. We got to the gate, and suddenly, my brother froze. Following his line of sight, I saw a tall, slender, beautiful girl with pale skin and a sweet smile. I didn't dare open my eyes, hoping it was just my imagination. It was none other than the female lead, Ruth, the girl my brother had been obsessing over. She saw us, walked over to greet us, and smiled with her eyes curving up. "Toby, what a coincidence." "Yeah, coincidence." My brother responded coldly, but his face was expressionless, while his soul had clearly already been stolen. I still clung to a little hope. College is huge, maybe they'll be in different departments and never run into each other. I smiled politely and extended my hand. Hi, I'm Toby's sister. What's your major? She smiled brightly. Finance, class 2. Just then, the male lead strolled by, pulling his suitcase. I asked, Anne. My world came crashing down. It turns out that my brother and the female lead are in the same class, while the male lead is in a different department. My brother's eyes were wide, staring straight ahead. He walked all the way grinning like an idiot. Suddenly, without warning, he turned to me and asked, Sis, do you believe in fate? Maybe it was the plot's influence. It was as if my brother had been drugged. The moment he saw the female lead, he couldn't move. He just fell head over heels in love and decided that she was the one. By the second semester of his junior year, the male and female leads had a huge argument and broke up. My brother couldn't stop grinning, thinking the long-awaited opportunity to take his place had finally arrived. I knew what was coming. He was about to be played like a fool again. Sure enough, the worst possible thing happened. To get back at the male lead, the female lead, Ruth, started intentionally flirting with my brother, half teasing, half serious. I could see it all, and I warned him. Wake up, she's just bored and messing around, don't take it too seriously. He grinned, looking absolutely smug. Then why does she only mess with me and not anyone else? She must like me. I was livid, and jumped up to slap his forehead. Toby, shake your brain up before talking to me. But my brother was still as chill as ever, raising an eyebrow. I'm very clear-headed, he said, then added, Don't worry, sis, I have my own pace. Stubborn fool. I stormed off, frustrated and cursing under my breath. With how well I knew my brother, he was stubborn. Like a mule. He wouldn't give up until he hit rock bottom. Ugh, the trashy character and plot created by a trashy author. During their flirtation, they kissed, hugged, and even watched romantic fireworks on Christmas. My innocent little brother was completely smitten. On the female lead's birthday, my brother spent all the pocket money he had saved up and ordered a custom-made sapphire necklace. He showed up with flowers, eager and hopeful, ready to confess his feelings. But as he waited outside the VIP room, he saw the male and female leads embracing and kissing passionately, surrounded by laughter and cheers. Oh no, it turned out that after all the time my brother spent with her, the female lead finally realized who she truly loved. It was always the male lead. My brother was just a pawn in their game. That day, my brother disappeared. Upon hearing the news, I didn't even have time to change out of my nightgown before I ran out. I aimlessly walked down the street, thinking of every place he might have gone. I called out his name, desperately, feeling lost and helpless. As I thought of the ending the plot hinted at, my heart instantly twisted into a knot, and my body uncontrollably began to shake. Gagging down my own panic, I shakily took out my phone, numbly sending him text messages, dialing his number over and over. The phone call you are trying to reach is currently unavailable. I choked up, asking everyone I knew if they had seen him, but there was no news. I refused to give up. Hello, I need to report a missing person. My brother is missing. I need to check the surveillance footage, please, I beg you. However, since my brother was an adult, not being able to reach him for 1 or 2 hours didn't count as a disappearance, unless there was evidence that his personal safety was at risk. Right now, I had no evidence to offer. It was winter, and the cold wind howled through the streets, making my nightgown rustle in the freezing air. The icy chill seeped into every inch of my skin. A deep, suffocating sense of helplessness enveloped me. My brother hadn't told anyone where he was going. My fingers and toes were numb from the cold, and I listlessly refreshed the local news. Every time a new report popped up, my heart twisted in pain. I could only pray over and over. Toby, you have to stay alive. You promised to be your sister's servant for life. You can't have anything happen to you. I felt like I was going to lose my mind. At this moment, Toby was like a walking corpse, wandering aimlessly. He racked his brains but couldn't figure it out. Why was he so obsessed with Ruth? He knew he shouldn't keep going, yet he couldn't resist getting closer. It was like a moth flying into a flame, knowing it would get hurt, yet still unable to resist. He began questioning himself over and over again. Was it because he hadn't done enough? Was he just too useless? Why did she leave him behind? Toby seemed to be sick, seeing her smile as she kissed another man. At that moment, he was consumed by jealousy. He wanted to lock her up in the basement, making her belong only to him. He wanted to cut open her heart to see if he was inside it, but reason told him he couldn't do that. He began to loathe himself, loathing his inability to control his emotions, yet feeling utterly powerless. Like a madman, torn between reason and emotion, struggling constantly in the vortex of pain. Unconsciously, Toby found himself sitting on the rooftop. A voice roared in his mind. Isn't it painful? Just jump. Jump and you'll be free. Strangely, he wanted to give it a try. A gust of cold wind blew. He instantly came to his senses. It didn't matter if he didn't want to live, but jumping from here, if he happened to hit an innocent passerby, that would be terrible. So, he decided to find another way. In the depths of despair, a notification popped up on my phone about the unlocking of the front door at home. Had my brother come home? Tears streamed down my face in excitement. I scrambled to hail a taxi and rushed home. As soon as I entered, I noticed the bathroom light was still on, and the door was locked from the inside. I knew this wasn't the time to provoke him. Brother, are you back? I tried to calm myself, making my tone sound light and casual. No response. I panicked. Was my brother still alive? In a frenzy, I almost grabbed a hammer to break down the door. Just then, A muffled sound came from the bathroom. Hearing his voice, my heart, which had been hanging in the balance, finally settled. The joy of surviving a disaster was about to burst out of my heart. As long as he was alive, that was enough. What a joke, I'm his elder sister. I had the strength and means to get him out. I wiped away the tears streaming down my face. I tried to appear composed, sitting there with my legs crossed, trying to act as usual. Toby, I know you want to die, but can you hold off for now? Because your sister really wants to eat a grapefruit you've peeled. I choked up, almost pleading. A shadow moved inside the bathroom. In that instant, Toby was suddenly pulled out of the abyss he had been falling into by his sister. Right. He still had his sister who loved him. He couldn't die. Why couldn't he die? Because his sister wanted to eat a grapefruit he had peeled. Moreover, if he died, his sister would definitely be heartbroken and cry. His sister loved looking beautiful. She wouldn't look good if she cried. Okay, the door opened. My brother appeared, disheveled and limp, his eyes bloodshot, his entire body dripping wet, clearly having just jumped into the water. Is Red Heart okay? He mumbled, his voice barely above a whisper. His eyes were red, his lashes trembling. He didn't dare to look at me. It was the same look he always had after messing up, like a little dog that had done something wrong. I didn't blame him. I knew he was in pain, full of guilt. I smiled and stroked his face. Alright, but you have to peel it all the way, no slacking. He nodded obediently, and went to peel the grapefruit for me. I knew, no matter what, my brother would never refuse my requests. I still remember when he was little, and whenever he was in the bathroom, if I just urged him a little from outside the door, he'd immediately stop and clean up. He'd flush the toilet, and then ask me to come in. Soon enough, he brought me a plate of perfectly peeled grapefruit. The flesh was red, glossy, and translucent, completely clean, not a single bit of skin left. But his wrist was wrapped in bandages, still soaked in faint traces of blood. I stared at him, seeing him standing there, completely in front of me. My heart was a tangled mess of emotions, fear, joy, gratitude. He saw I wasn't reacting and probably thought I was being my usual picky self. He softly explained, I checked, there's no blood on it, don't worry, you can eat it. As soon as the words left his mouth, he realized he had slipped up and quickly hid his bandaged wrist in his sleeve. Sis, I'm fine, don't worry. Once I saw he was calm, I finally dared to get angry. I punched him hard in the chest. You idiot. Do you have any idea how worried I was about you? I pulled him into a big hug, crying uncontrollably. His fingers brushed against my cold palm, and without thinking, he held my hand. When he saw my frostbitten hand and the red, swollen, bloodied toes, tears instantly flooded his eyes. He pulled me tightly into his arms, crying, Sis, I won't try to die again. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I pushed him away, wiped away his tears, then, with a tearful voice, I gave him a warning. Toby, do you believe me? If you do this again, I'll starve myself to death. I really wasn't a good sister, threatening him like that. He panicked, grabbed a piece of grapefruit and shoved it into my mouth, gruffly. Jenny, shut up. Don't say that kind of bad luck stuff. Perfect. It was the grapefruit I liked. I chewed and chewed, sweet and satisfying. Somehow, I felt at peace,